McGuire Mondays with Pierre McGuire. It's the dog days of summer. That doesn't mean there's no news. In Leafland, they have a new, what is he? The Director of NHL Player Development, Patrik O'Sullivan, former Edmonton Oiler. The Leafs promoting from within, Pierre.
What I remember the most about Patrik O'Sullivan was 2004 Helsinki, Finland gold medal game, Canada versus the U.S. Mario DeRoche's coaching Team Canada. Mike Eaves is coaching Team USA. And a guy by the name of John Hines was the assistant coach, who's now the head coach in Minnesota. Marc-Andre Fleury in the third period goes to clear the puck out of the zone. He shoots it into Braden Coburn. The Americans go on to win their first ever gold medal at the World Junior, and Patrik O'Sullivan got credit for that goal, Dan. That's what I remember the most about Patrik O'Sullivan.
That's right. And I remember the Marc-Andre Fleury yellow pads era. He
Yes.
soon got rid of those. So what is that role? What will Patrik O'Sullivan be doing?
I actually think it's an important role, and I'll tell you what I think he'll be doing. I haven't spoken to Patrik, and I haven't spoken to anybody in Leaf management. I was in Edmonton last week watching the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. I spent some time with some of their new scouting people. We did not talk about Patrik O'Sullivan, but I just want to be transparent on that. But here's what I think it does. I think one of the biggest things going on in the NHL right now is getting NHL players to get better as the year goes along. Whether it means getting stronger, faster, more skillful. And I think it's just such an all-encompassing job. You need to have somebody like a Patrik O'Sullivan who's played in the league, been an early draft pick, understands the development phase of it. I think you got to have somebody like that to really oversee that position and track it on a day-to-day basis. So I actually think it's a smart thing to do.
From a discussion with a good buddy, he sees the Leafs going away from, say, the trend that the Habs were going in and smaller size players.
Right.
Are the Leafs have a vision of, no, we're going the opposite. We're going bigger, heavier.
I do think that's kind of the direction they're going in. I will tell you this, so Dan, I was talking to a lot of scouts when I was in Edmonton, and I had a great time watching the Canadians and the Swedes and the Slovaks in particular and Team USA. Congratulations to Team Canada on winning in a blowout in the gold medal game. But what I can tell you, what I'm really hearing more and more is it's hard to win with smaller players. People aren't afraid to take one or two. They don't want to have 5 or 6. And I think that's kind of where the league is trending right now. It brought me back to remember being on the road early on in my career, and you always hear the rumors about Calgary not want to take any players under 6 feet tall. But yet in the 1987 draft, they took a guy by the name of Theo Fleury in the 8th round. And the first round pick they used was a guy named Brian Deasley. He never really made it. Theo Fleury's had a heck of a career, and that was the only small guy they were prepared to take. So I would not be afraid to draft a smaller player. I just don't think you can have too many of them.
There are rumors out there that the Leafs are potentially interested in Patrik Laine. Can you give any truth to those rumors?
I do believe that they've had probably some discussion with Patrik. Patrik is somebody that obviously has had a tough time the last couple of years, both on and off the ice. I think he's starting to figure things out off the ice, which is great for him. But one thing I know in Montreal they were concerned about was the tempo of his game. I think for Toronto, they're trying to figure out so they don't have to rush young players. They obviously have Gavin McKenna who's going to play, and they have Easton Cowan, a young guy who's going to play. But what do you do in a situation, for the sake of argument, where maybe Max Domi isn't ready because of off-season surgery, and you have a hole in the top 6 and you need to fill it? Could Patrik Laine be a guy that can do that? It would be an interesting experiment. I'm not sure if I'd really endorse it full throttle, but I do think it would be an interesting experiment that they should follow through on if they want him.
By tempo of his game, you mean he's floating around a lot of the time?
Yeah, there's not a lot of defensive awareness. He's not coming back real hard on the back check. And I think, quite honestly, his shot is his lethal weapon. And if he can get open and utilize his shot with playmaking centers, whether it be Austin Matthews or Johnny Tavares, that'd be great. But if he can't get to those areas because he's a little bit slow and the tempo's not there, then I think it's a problem.
Max Domi, what do you see his role? He's becoming one of the longer serving Leafs now. What do you see Max Domi's role on this Leafs team?
I think if he could be a top six forward, it'd be great. But I do think he's still a physical player when he's healthy. Obviously, I do think he brings a lot of energy to the team. I do think if he's coached properly, he can make a difference. I'm not sure he's ever going to be a 60 to 70 point player, but he's a guy that definitely can help your team win. And I do know one thing: I do think he's extremely respected by most of the upper echelon players in that dressing room.
Also a glue guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's one of those guys where you want to have him around
Yeah.
because the guys really respect him.
As I mentioned, we're in the dog days of summer. What's happening right now with NHL teams as they prepare for camps?
You know, a lot of them were out scouting this past week in Edmonton. And before that, they were watching the World Junior Challenge. I think the biggest thing right now is everybody's waiting for the shoe to drop on Dylan Larkin. They don't have a management team in Detroit right now that is capable or being allowed to make those kinds of decisions. It's going to be really interesting to see how much longer they're going to go through this exercise to try to hire a general manager. If they don't go from within, who they're going to take from outside. The other one is I think a lot of people are waiting for the shoe to drop in Montreal. What are they going to do to get a second center? Are they just going to stay status quo and potentially play Kirby Doc there? And so we're gonna see what happens. But I think Montreal and Detroit, two teams in the Atlantic Division, by the way, I think both of them still have some shopping season left ahead.
I've never been in an NHL front office, but I assume the offseason is probably the most important time for a GM. So to not have one seems a bit baffling.
It really is. I love the way you said that too, Dan, because I think there's a lot of merit to that. The truth of the matter is, if they were going to let Steve Yzerman go, why didn't they do it in the spring when it was shopping season for general managers? Why'd they wait so long in Detroit? Number one. Number two, it begs the question, what went so awry with Yzerman after the regular season ended that led to him being let go? And nobody really wants to answer that. I haven't heard anybody ask the question, what happened? Why did this thing fester for so long? And I think it's created a bit of a problem for the Detroit Red Wings, and it's clearly created a problem for Dylan Larkin, not just with the Red Wings, but in the state of Michigan. He's not very popular right now, and I've known Dylan a long time. I think he's a great kid, and I know he's a good player, but I just don't know what's happened there, and somebody's going to have to figure this out sooner rather than later.
Speaking of GMs, how long of a leash does John Chayka have in Toronto? And I believe he and Keith Pelly are tied at the hip now. If one goes down, they both go down. Does he have to win? Does he have to make second round, third round, first season? What is the roadmap look like for John Chayka and how long he is safe?
I think the biggest thing for him is to get this team into the playoffs this year, show consistent improvement.
Low bar.
Low bar to start, but I think he picked up a really tough situation. So make the playoffs this year. Let's see where that goes. Hope that star players, Willie Nylander, Austin Matthews, obviously Gavin McKenna, on the back end, Darren Radish, who was a key offseason acquisition. Those guys have to stand and deliver, and hope that Bobrovsky can be really strong in goal and stabilize things. If they can do that, I believe they can be a playoff team, number one. But I think the most important thing for John Chayka and the entire coaching staff, make sure there's constant improvement. Don't have a penalty kill that's in the bottom 10 in the league. Don't have a power play that's not in the top 12 in the league. Those kinds of things. If they show constant improvement as a group, I think John Chayka will be in good shape.
Here's something that it's out of your wheelhouse, but the Maple Leafs arena is showing its age big time. What is there anything in the works for? You can't move the arena. It's in the perfect spot, but a full reno needs to be done in Toronto.
So it's happened in other buildings in the league, by the way. I think it's really important to stress that. It's happened at Madison Square Garden, which is a tough place to build, but they were able to do it. It happened in Boston. They were able to do it. It's happened down in Tampa. They were able to do it. There's been some renovations out in LA. They were able to do it. I think most of the teams in the league have to go through this probably every 10 to 12 years, maybe 15 years. So I don't think it's a foreign concept to just Toronto. I think it's happened in a lot of other buildings in the league. And I don't think it'll be that big an issue.
Yeah, because you go into Edmonton and you go into Detroit, which I hear is one of the best arenas in the league. And then the Leafs come back and say, we're supposed to be the Mecca. We're supposed to be the hockey mecca, and we're playing in a shoebox.
One of the cool parts of going to Detroit, by the way, it is such a testimony of the great athletic events that have happened in the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit in particular for a very, very long amount of time. So Toronto's not very devoid from that either. There's been a lot of huge events that have happened in Toronto over the course of sporting history. So I'd like to see them show a little bit of respect for that. And I do believe something like that would really go a long way towards making the building more appealing.
Going to throw you out some still available unrestricted free agents out there. Leafs ain't interested in any of these guys. Vladimir Tarasenko, James Van Riemsdyk. Yeah, get him back for another run. Michael Bunting still out there. David Perron. And then you got Laine. And then Connor Ingram, my buddy, in goal, who was thrust into the starter's role in Edmonton. Any interest in any of those guys for Toronto?
I think JVR probably, because he's been down that road before, and I think the players internally would probably speak very highly of him if John Jacob were to ask. Outside of that, I could see a PTO for Patrik Laine, not a contract to start, but a PTO, a professional tryout agreement. But I don't see a lot of interest in those other players.
Oh, Laine in his prime. Man, he was fun to watch.
He could rip it. He could absolutely rip it. Yep, I agree.
Let's see if we can find someone who used to rip it as we play 1 degree of Pierre McGuire. I turn around, point to a hockey card, and Pierre tells us his connection to these players. Let's go upper right. Dmitry Yushkevich.
Oh, one of my favorites. One of the toughest kids ever. Play for Toronto, obviously. Remember watching him play in a World Junior for Russia. Biggest thing about Dmitry Yushkevich, I remember once in Toronto, he blocked a shot off the front of his foot. He went in, he took his skates off, went in the shower, all his toenails fell off.
Oh,
never missed a shift. Never missed a shift the whole game. Unbelievably tough guy. He was very, very popular with his teammates. Hard to play against. Every time you talk to him, he was very affable. I just couldn't say enough good things about that kid.
And this card is him with the Flyers.
There you go.
Looked like he wore number 22.
He was not shy. He was not shy physically, and he was not shy when it came to doing the tough parts of the game, like blocking shots and taking hits to make plays. And he was a total team guy.
Pierre, this was fun. I hope you have a great week, and I hope I get to talk to you again soon.
I can't wait. Thanks a lot, Dan. I'll take care.